Okay, so today I'm going to show you guys the quickest way to farm knobs in Roblox doors. With this setup, you can easily get thousands of knobs in a quick run through the hotel. The setup itself is a little difficult, but if you pull it off, you're going to get a lot of knobs out of it. You can save up these knobs for pre-run shops or for any item skins that you want to buy. This setup is completely free and everyone can do it. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it. And we're actually going to start off with the hardest part. Now, the first thing that you're going to need in order to pull off this setup is to get a knob booster. A knob boost is this thing right here with the knob and then the arrow pointing up. You're gonna need one of these to get a lot of knobs. Now, for a long time, the only way to get a knob boost was to spend Robux, but luckily there is now a way to get a knob boost for free, and that is the daily run. Now, unfortunately, this is a kind of rare item in the daily run, but luckily your streak actually saves now. Even if you miss any day, it just freezes your streak, and the higher your streak, the more likely you are to get a knob boost. Now, unfortunately for the free-to-play players, this part is gonna take a little while. I believe the first knob boost is, I think, at least a week. But yeah, just make sure you're playing the daily run every single day, because this also gives you a decent amount of knobs, in case you didn't know. But yeah, I actually haven't done my daily run yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and do mine. And when I beat it, you should see that there is a knob boost somewhere down the road. I don't think it's from this daily run. So yeah, I'm just gonna do my daily run real quick. You don't have to focus on collecting gold or anything, although that is what I personally like to do. Why did my avatar not load? What in the world? All right, boom. So there we go. Did the daily run. And if you had pressed to continue, now you can see the timeline for when you can get knob boost, and coincidentally I get a knob boost tomorrow, so there you go. But once you finally have a boost, you can move on to step 2. Anyway, once you have a knob boost ready to go, you're gonna want to do a hotel hell run, but not just any hotel hell run, because you're gonna want to collect as much gold as you possibly can. Now, of course, you can kind of make the hotel hell modifiers whatever you want. However, there are some modifiers that you're probably gonna want to avoid. For example, obviously do not put on any El Goblino modifiers. Like I said, you want to get as much gold as you possibly can, and believe me when I say this 15% knob boost from getting no gold, this is not worth it. You're also going to want to make sure you have as many side rooms as possible. That way you can loot all these side rooms and get the treasure chests in them. So I would definitely avoid these dupe modifiers right here, wrong number and battle of wit. What this does is that it replaces a lot of the side rooms with dupe doors, which you obviously don't want, and same with vacuum sealed. You're probably going to want to avoid this as well. And of course, you're going to want to take your time looting everything, so you definitely don't want to have any modifiers that have to make you speed run. So stuff like the dread mods, run from it, and Destiny still arrives, avoid these. And of course, avoid make haste. This already makes the game hard enough on its own. Do not put on make haste. I would probably avoid itchy just because of how much looting you have to do. You probably don't want to worry about Timothy too much. And of course, avoid the random modifiers, these 3 right here. You obviously don't want completely random modifiers that you don't know about. And I would also avoid out of stuff. Now, a lot of people probably think that out of stuff is actually a good idea because that would get rid of a lot of item spawns, and that way you can get a lot of gold. But I actually want to keep items in the game for one reason and one reason only, and that is the shears. You can find the shears in the courtyard, and you can go ahead and use that to go into the basement, and that gives you a bunch of gold. So yeah, also try to avoid item stuff if you can, but baby hands is totally fine. And if you put that all together, then you should get a loadout something like this. But again, this probably will be a little bit different depending on your playstyle, so be sure to add and remove modifiers as needed. Be careful with your loadout, especially if you're a free-to-play player and the only way to get these boosts are from the daily run. In that case, you're probably only going to have one shot at this. So make sure you have a good loadout that you're comfortable with. Honestly, you might just want to practice Hotel Hell if you need to. And yeah, once you're ready, you can go ahead and start your run. Now, for the pre-run shop, it's really not a big deal what you get. Obviously, you can go ahead and buy everything. And as long as you win, you probably will still profit. So it's really not going to be a big deal if you spend the full 300 knobs buying everything. If you want to be a little bit careful with spending your knobs, then the only thing I would buy is probably the lockpicks. I think the lockpicks are really useful. That way you can go ahead and open up locked chests and you'll get a bunch of gold out of it. I'm personally just going to buy everything. It's really not that big of a deal. And of course, make sure you actually activate your 5 times knob boost by pressing this button right here. It's honestly pretty easy to forget, so make sure you did that. And you can go ahead and confirm, and you can start your playthrough. And like I said, make sure to loot as much as you possibly can. Look through every single drawer, check every single side room, make sure you're getting as much gold as possible. Honestly, if you are just looting everything and you get a lot of gold, then even if you do die, you're probably gonna make a lot of profit off of it, believe it or not. Okay, so finally, I find a lock chest. Go ahead and open that and look at that loot. This is gonna give you an insane amount of knobs, so trust me, whenever you find a lock chest, if you are able to open it, definitely open it. It is so worth it. Okay, so here we are approaching Jeff's shop. I'm at 2,300 gold, which is actually pretty lucky. I found a lot of lock chests for this run, which is awesome. Now, when it comes to spending gold, you're gonna want to be a little bit careful because the more gold you spend, the less knobs you're gonna have. Because how it works is at the end of the game, it just counts how much gold you currently have. A lockpick is probably a good purchase. You do get a lot of gold from this from lock chests, so this is a pretty good purchase in my opinion. But I'd say the best purchase you could possibly make from Jeff's shop is probably the skeleton key right here, because this actually gives you the plant room, which gives you a lot of gold, believe it or not. Found a lock chest here. Let's go ahead and use that. That is a bunch of gold right there. And let's go ahead and go into the plant room. And look at that. We're getting especially lucky because there are 6 drawers here, and look at that. This is a good amount of gold, but look at that. Look at how much gold you get in this single room. It is insane. That is basically 300 gold that we got back. All right, so yeah, here's Holt's room right here, and you can see there's a bunch of gold on the tables that you're definitely going to want to loot for. If you're feeling especially risky, you can go for the side tables and drawers as well. Only do that if you're confident with Halt, though, because it is pretty easy to get stuck. All right, door 88. Again, check the side rooms. You're probably going to see a lot of chests. Here's a lock chest right here. And at door 89, we're now in the courtyard, so we're actually going to want to go ahead and grab the shears. And this is why I recommend to keep out of stuff off so that you're able to get these shears. And what a lot of people forget is you can actually use the shears to go down into the basement, and there is a bunch of gold down here. You would be surprised. I mean, just look at these drawers. There's 100 right there. There's a bunch of gold right there. And there's another 100. We actually got a little unlucky with the amount of drawers, but just look at how much gold you can get. This alone is why out of stuff should be off. And look at that. We are at 4440 gold, which is absolutely insane. We got actually really lucky with the amount of gold. We got 150% knob boost plus the 5 times knob boost. We are going to get an insane amount of gold. Anyway, going into the greenhouse, there's really not a lot of gold to collect. So at this point of the game, I would just focus on surviving. I mean, if you're really lucky, you might get a side room, but 9 times out of 10, you are just going to get a bunch of dupes in the greenhouse. All right, and door 100. Not too much else to say. We're just going to finish up this encounter, and we're going to see how many knobs we get from this. All right, and there we go. Hotel hell complete. Again, this is my loadout, and let's see how many knobs I get from this, because honestly, I got really lucky with gold. You guys might not get quite as much gold as this. I feel like this is a little high on the luck spectrum for this run. Again, you really only have one shot at this if you only have one knob boost, but again, you also can get revives from your daily run, so be sure to save your revives for this as well. Just in case you die, you can revive and your knob boost will still take effect. But yeah, just from this hotel run, we get 4,650 knobs. That is insane. Just from a single run, I can afford like the entire luck bundle. I don't know how many knobs this is in Roblox, but this is crazy, dude. This is just from one knob boost. So honestly, even if you have a little bit of Robux to spend, honestly, just spending them on knob boost is way better than getting, you know, knobs directly. And you can actually optimize this even more if you play with friends, because every friend in your server, you get a 10% knob boost. And honestly, I wouldn't actually play this multiplayer with friends because, again, a lot of the knobs you get depends on how much gold you get. So if you're sharing the gold, it's not going to go as well. But if you just have like another device and an alternate account, you can get another 10% knob boost and you can boost this number up even more. That is typically about 700 Robux worth of knobs that you just get from one singular boost. And if you just buy this, you can get 3 of them. So yeah, you get way more value out of these boosts right here. So yeah, there's your guide on how to get a bunch of knobs really quickly. Let me know if this helps. And if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more. Bye-bye.